Tom stood at the edge of the dusty auction yard, wiping sweat from his face. His ship, Rustclaw, was low on fuel. His pockets were nearly empty. He had come to this forgotten trade moon looking for cheap ship parts. Maybe a used battery or cracked shield panel, something useful. But the auction was nearly over, and all he had bought was a greasy sandwich. Last item. The auctioneer shouted, pulling a dirty cloth off a strange-looking helmet. One ancient helmet, unknown origin, found in a wreck near the red zone. Maybe cursed, maybe not, you decide. The crowd laughed. The helmet was odd black metal, sharp lines. Glowing lines faint under the grime. One broken side, the kind of thing people walk past without looking twice. No bids. The auctioneer called out, anyone? 5 credits? Tom didn't know why, but he raised his hand. A small alien with green skin turned to look at him. You buying trash now, human? Just a hunch, Tom said, smiling. Sold to the human for 5 credits. The auctioneer shouted, hope it doesn't eat your brain. Tom picked up the helmet. It felt heavier than it looked, cold. Strange symbols were etched along the sides. He carried it back to his ship, trying not to feel foolish, inside Rustclaw. Tom placed the helmet on his workbench. The dim lights flickered. He sat down, opened a can of rehydrated stew, and stared at the thing. What are you? He said out loud. Nothing happened. He picked it up again, turned it in his hands. The inside had a soft lining, like it was made for comfort. He laughed to himself, stood up, and slowly slid the helmet over his head. A click, a flash, a voice, command. Link accepted. Identity, unknown human male. Status, activated. Tom jumped, yanked off the helmet, and dropped it on the table. He looked around. He was alone. The voice came again, this time from the helmet, even though it sat still. Commander, welcome back. Tom frowned. What are you talking about? Primary. Systems online. Memory core partially locked. Planetary link detected. Do you wish to review claim rights? Tom blinked. Planetary what? The helmet hummed. A blue light blinked on his workbench, casting shapes into the air. A floating map appeared, stars, systems, and one planet marked in red. Virel, helm bearer. The voice said, you are now the last living claimant to the throne of Virel. Tom sat back slowly. What did I just buy? That night, Tom couldn't sleep. The helmet sat across the room, glowing faintly. It didn't speak again. But the words stayed in his mind. Claimant to the throne. Planetary link. Commander. He got up in the middle of the night, walked to his cockpit, and pulled up the star map. The coordinates were real. Virel was a real place, not far from where he was. Tom had been too many planets, junk moons, war ruins, black markets. But Virel was different. He had heard of it in whispers, a proud alien world, closed to outsiders, private, ancient. Now this helmet said he owned it. He shook his head. No way. Probably broken tech. Maybe an old AI that's confused. Still, he tapped the controls. Course. Set destination, Virel. 2 days later. Tom's ship dropped out of orbit above a glowing blue and silver planet. Green oceans, tall crystal cities. He stared through the glass. It looked peaceful. Perfect. As he got closer, his ship was scanned. Alarms beeped. The helmet, sitting beside him, spoke. Do not respond. Identification beacon will activate now. Beam of golden light flashed from the helmet. The scanning ship ahead stopped, then turned away. Tom was given clearance to land. No way, Tom whispered. He landed on a wide platform surrounded by silver towers and floating orbs. A group of aliens waited. They looked human-like but taller, with fine armor and narrow eyes. Their skin shimmered with light gold patterns. One stepped forward. A woman, strong posture, dark hair tied back, her eyes sharp. Remove the helmet, she ordered. Tom didn't move. Do it now, stranger, she said. The helmet spoke again. Royal Guard detected. Request acknowledgement of rank. The woman froze. That voice. Identity. Tom. Helm bearer. The guard stepped back. Murmurs spread. A few knelt. Tom looked around, confused. Hey, I'm not here to cause trouble. I just bought this thing at an auction. The woman's voice was cold. That helmet belongs to my father. You do not deserve it. I didn't steal it, Tom said. She narrowed her eyes. If you wear that helmet, then by law, you rule Varel. Tom's mouth opened, then shut again. He looked down at the helmet. I really should have just bought a battery. Tom stood frozen on the landing platform of Varel. The wind was soft, but the air was tense. The woman with sharp eyes was still staring at him like he was an enemy. Around her, some of the guards had dropped to one knee, but others looked unsure. One even gripped his weapon. I don't want your planet, Tom said carefully. I don't even know where I am. You are the helm, the woman replied. That makes you the bearer. Varel law is not a game. I'm not playing. Tom said, I'm just confused. The woman stepped forward. She stood only inches away now. She looked taller up close. Her armor had the same golden patterns as her skin. She studied his face like she was looking for something. My name is Rena, she said. Daughter of Lord Farrell, who once wore the helmet you now carry. Tom nodded slowly. I'm Tom. I'm from Earth. I don't know that place. She said, but if you truly are the helm bearer, you must face the trial. If you survive, then the people will follow. If not, we take back what is ours. Tom sighed. This is getting better and better. Rena turned sharply and walked away. Two guards motioned for Tom to follow. The city of Varel was like nothing Tom had seen before. Floating bridges connected tall white towers. The streets were clean, and people moved quietly. Some wore robes, others armor. Most stared at Tom as he passed. One child pointed. Look, it's the new ruler. No, the mother whispered. He's just a fake. Tom felt every eye on him. They led him into a large hall made of shining glass. A round table sat in the center, with a glowing orb hovering above it. When Tom entered, the orb pulsed with light. The helmet on his head buzzed. Regional control node active. Link established. Suddenly, the orb projected a new map into the air. It showed Varel from space. Cities lit up. Dots blinked where power stations and towers stood. Beneath it, tunnels ran deep under the ground. What is all this? Tom asked. The AI replied. These are the systems once controlled by the helm. As bearer, you now have access. Rena stood at the edge of the table. How is this possible? This control node has been dead for years because your father is gone, the AI said. The helm was locked until a new bearer was chosen. That bearer is Tom. Tom raised a hand. Okay? This is getting weird. I didn't choose this. I bought this thing for 5 credits at a junk auction. Rena frowned. What auction? Tom explained what happened to Trade Moon, the auctioneer, the warning about the curse. As he spoke, Rena's expression changed from anger to confusion. She looked at the orb again, watching the lights blink. There are systems here I have never seen, she said. The AI responded. The helm grants command over all hidden systems, ancient defense networks, command towers, and the core seat of Varel power. Tom stepped back. I'm not a ruler. I fix ships. I trade scrap. That's it. Rena looked at him seriously. Then remove the helmet and give it to me. Double quotes. Tom reached for it, hesitated. Warning, the AI said. Removing helm without transfer ritual will cause system lock. Risk of shutdown. Varel will lose control once again. Tom lowered his hands. Well, great. Rena looked frustrated. You must take the trial. If you are unworthy, the helm will choose again. Tom raised an eyebrow. And if I don't take it, you'll be hunted. She said plainly, Varel follows the helm. But if the helm is lost, many will blame you. You will be seen as a thief, not a leader. Tom sighed and rubbed the back of his neck. All right, trial it is. What do I have to do? Rena pointed to the orb. It will guide you. Later. Tom sat alone in a round chamber deep below the tower. He sat on a smooth chair, and in front of him was another orb, smaller than the one above. The room was silent. The helmet hummed. Commander, the AI said, the trial is not a test of battle. It is a test of choice. Okay, Tom whispered. Let's do this. The orb lit up and showed him images, cities burning, people running, ships falling from the sky. What would you do if Varel was invaded? The voice asked. Try to protect it, Tom replied. but I'd start with evacuating people. Would you sacrifice power to save lives? Yes. Would you lead soldiers to battle if no one else would? If I had to. More images came. A room full of angry leaders shouting. A small child crying beside a broken robot. A fleet waiting above a peaceful village. The questions kept coming. Some about war, others about peace, some about trust, some about fear. Tom answered with honesty. He didn't pretend to be a hero. He said what he felt was right. After what felt like hours, the orb dimmed, trial complete. The AI said. Tom stood up. So, did I pass? A door opened behind him. Rena stood there, arms crossed. Come, she said. The people are waiting. Tom walked back to the city square. Hundreds had gathered. When they saw him, the crowd fell silent. Rena stepped forward. She looked at the people, then back at Tom. He has passed the trial, she said. The helm has accepted him. Some people cheered. Others looked angry. A few walked away. But no one stopped her. Tom stepped beside her. He looked out at the people and raised one hand awkwardly. Hello, he said. I don't know what I'm doing yet, but I'll try not to mess it up. That made a few people laugh. Rena spoke again, louder this time. For now, he leads. Tom leaned toward her and whispered, Does this mean I get a crown or something? She didn't smile. You get responsibility and enemies, Tom sighed. Of course I do. Tom walked through the wide halls of Varel's central tower, with Rena beside him. The helmet still rested on his head, its soft glow guiding his steps. Outside, the people of Varel were trying to understand how a strange human had suddenly become their leader. Inside, Tom was still trying to believe it himself. So, he said, What happens now? Rena didn't look at him. Now, you learn. If you're going to rule, even by accident, you need to understand our world. Tom smiled nervously. Doesn't sound like a warm welcome? I don't give warm welcomes to thieves, Rena replied. I didn't steal the helmet. Tom said, I bought it fair and square. She stopped walking and turned to face him. Her eyes were sharp. You were the symbol of my father, she said. He died in war. That helmet vanished after the fall. And now, years later, a human appears with it on his head. You may not call it theft, but I do not trust you. Tom sighed. I didn't come here to rule. I just followed the helmet. Rena nodded slowly. Then prove it. Prove you're more than just a lucky outsider. Before Tom could ask how, she walked away. Later that day, Rena summoned Tom to the combat grounds. It was a large open area, surrounded by stone seats, with a sandy floor and tall pillars at the corners. Dozens of people had gathered. Some wore armor, others held long, curved weapons. Tom arrived, wearing his old jacket and dusty boots. He looked around, confused. What is this? He asked. Rena stood in the center of the arena. She wore dark armor and held a training spear in her hands. This is the trial of strength, she said. If you want to be accepted by the warriors of Varel, you must face me. Tom raised his eyebrows. You want to fight me? I want to see if you are truly worthy, she said. Our leaders do not hide behind titles. They stand and fight. Tom looked at the spear, then at her stance. She was clearly trained. He, on the other hand, had never even held a spear before. This feels unfair, he said. She tossed a second spear at his feet. Pick it up. The crowd grew quiet. Tom sighed, then bent down and picked up the spear. It felt heavier than he expected. The helmet's voice spoke softly in his ear. Combat mode enabled. Training data active. Suggested movement. Defensive stance. Tom felt his hands shift. It was like the helmet guided his muscles, helping him hold the weapon the right way. His feet moved, his shoulders lowered, and he took a proper stance. Rena blinked, surprised. Begin, she said. She lunged first, fast, smooth. Practiced. Tom stepped back just in time. The helmet warned him of her moves before they landed. He blocked, deflected, moved again. The crowd began to whisper. Rena attacked harder. She spun, struck low, then high. Tom kept up, barely. Sweat ran down his back, but he didn't fall. You fight like a soldier, she said between strikes. I fight like someone who doesn't want to get hurt, he replied. She smiled slightly. You said, part for 1,000 words kaleko or interesting hunachea or. The spear clashed with Tom's again, but this time the sound echoed louder than before. Rena stepped back, breathing heavier than she let on. Tom lowered his weapon slightly. He was tired, but something was different now. The crowd, once full of doubt and judgment, was silent, watching, waiting. Rena pointed her spear toward him again. You're stronger than I thought. Tom gave a short smile. I had a good teacher. Even if that teacher is stuck inside my helmet. She narrowed her eyes but didn't reply. Instead, she ran at him one more time, her spear spinning. The movement was fast, sharp. Her final strike aimed for Tom's side. The helmet reacted first. Dodge left, counter in 3, 2, 1. Tom moved. He twisted to the left, then turned his spear just enough to deflect Rena's blade. Her eyes widened as her weapon flew from her hands and landed on the ground beside them. She was now unarmed, standing in front of a full crowd, face to face with the man she had sworn not to follow. Tom didn't raise his spear. He simply stepped back and dropped it onto the ground. The silence broke. Some of the guards began clapping. Others nodded with respect. Rena looked around, her pride heavy on her face, but she didn't kneel. She didn't speak either. You don't need to bow, Tom said softly. I didn't fight to win over your people. I fought because you told me to prove myself. Rena looked at him and spoke with a calm voice. You fought with strength, but also mercy. Tom nodded. Where I come from, leadership isn't about forcing others to kneel. It's about standing beside them. She looked down at her hands, then at the helmet. My people won't forget this. Tom turned to leave the arena. Good. Neither will I later that evening. Tom sat in one of the high towers, overlooking the glowing city. He had taken the helmet off for the first time since arriving. It sat beside him, silent now, but still pulsing gently with light. The door opened, and Rena stepped in, wearing simple clothes instead of armor. She looked different, less like a warrior, more like someone carrying too much weight on her shoulders. You should not sit up here alone, she said. There are many who still do not trust you. Tom shrugged. I'm used to that. I come from a world where trust is earned, not given freely. Rena sat across from him. She looked at the helmet. My father wore that every day, she said. He gave his life defending this world. When he was gone, we thought the helm was gone too. The city lost its heart. I'm not him, Tom replied. I'm just a guy who fixes ships. You say that often, she said. But you've led battles, passed the trial, and faced me in the circle. That's not just luck. Tom looked down at his hands. Maybe, or maybe the helmet is doing most of the work. Rena shook her head. No, the helmet doesn't make choices. It only guides. She stood and walked to the edge of the tower, where the wind moved softly through the open frame. There is something you need to see. Tom followed her down a long hall, deep into the lower levels of the tower. The lights here were dimmer, older. Stone walls lined with carvings told stories of ancient warriors and machines that stood taller. Then towers. She opened a door at the end. Inside was a small round room with a glowing crystal in the center. The helmet spoke again. Restricted archive detected. Authorized access granted. The crystal blinked. A hologram rose from its images, data, words in the Varel language. The helmet translated instantly. Tom stepped closer. He saw something that made him freeze. A list. A list of old codes, locations, weapons. And humans. Are these names? Tom asked. Rena nodded. Names of those once allied with Varel. Long ago. Before war broke everything. Your people were part of our past. But the records were hidden after the fall. The AI confirmed this is the last surviving alliance code. If reactivated, it could restore the link between Earth and Varel. Tom stared at the names. He saw a flag from Earth, old, tattered, but still there. He had never expected something like this. He was part of something bigger than just a helmet, bigger than a planet. What happens if I activate this? He asked. The AI responded. Old enemies will return. Lost allies may respawn. Varel's power will rise again. Tom looked at Rena. Are you ready for that? She met his eyes. We're not ready. But we must be. Tom nodded. Then let's do it. A few hours later, the central tower glowed with a different light. The Alliance code was entered. Old satellites above the planet turned on, forgotten. Machines deep underground powered up. A wave of energy swept through the city. The people gathered in the plaza. Rena stood beside Tom, both watching the sky as ancient systems returned to life. This is only the beginning, the helmet said. Tom didn't feel like a scavenger anymore. He felt like a man standing at the edge of something far greater than he had ever dreamed. And beside him stood the woman who once wanted him gone. Now, she stood as his equal. The sky above Varel had changed. Silver lights blinked in orbit. Old satellites and defense beacons came back online. The ancient Alliance code had been activated, and now the whole planet hummed with quiet power. Tom stood on the balcony of the control tower, looking up at the stars. Something felt heavy in the air. Something was coming. Behind him, Rena entered the room. Her face was calm, but her voice was firm. The Outer Watch signals have picked up movement, she said. A fleet has entered the system. Tom turned quickly. Enemy, she nodded. We believe so. The signals matched those of the Quarren Empire. They were the ones who tried to take Varel during the last war. The helmet on Tom's head glowed faintly. Warning. Multiple vessels approaching. Hostile signatures confirmed. Recommend defense activation. Tom frowned. They saw the Alliance signal, didn't they? Yes, Rena replied. And they want to stop it before it spreads. Tom took a deep breath. How long before they reach us? 2 days, she said. Maybe less. Down in the city, people had already begun preparing. Shields were tested, weapons recharged. Many citizens gathered at the public square to hear the news. Tom and Rena stood before them. The enemy is not new, Rena said loudly. They tried to conquer us before. They failed then, and they will fail again. Some people cheered. Others looked scared. Tom stepped forward. I wasn't born on this planet. I'm not from your cities. I don't speak your language without this helmet's help. But I made a promise. If I wear this helm, I carry the weight with it, and I will not run. More cheers now. Stronger this time. We will defend Varel together, Tom said. I may be human, but this is my home now, inside. The towers. The morning sun rose over Varel's shimmering cities, casting long shadows across the streets. Tom stood at the top of the control tower, the helmet secure on his head. Outside, the air was filled with quiet tension. The enemy fleet was close. Rena joined him, her face calm but determined. They will arrive within hours. Tom nodded. We are ready. The helmet hummed softly. Defense systems online. Weapons check complete. Enemy fleet detected on radar. In the war room below, technicians moved quickly. Ancient energy cannons lined the city's edge. Once forgotten, now fully powered. Tom had spent the last days repairing machines hidden under the surface. Old warships, automated turrets, and shield generators. Everything was alive again. We don't have many ships, Rena said. But these weapons can keep the fleet at bay. Tom studied the holographic map. We need to use the city's defenses to slow them down. Hit their supply ships first, Rena agreed. And I will lead the ground forces. We protect the city. As the first ships entered Varel's atmosphere, alarms rang through the city. Bright beams of energy shot from the towers, striking the enemy vessels. Explosions lit up the sky. Tom's heart raced as he watched the battle unfold on the screens. Hold the line, he whispered. Rena's voice came through the comm. Ground teams are moving. We're ready. The enemy was strong. Their ships were faster and better armed, but the ancient weapons had power no one expected. They tore through the sky, destroying several enemy fighters. Tom smiled briefly. Not bad for old tech. On the ground, Rena led her soldiers with skill. She moved through the streets, rallying her people. She fought beside them, her sword flashing in the sunlight. Tom watched from the tower. She's a true leader, he thought. The helmet spoke in his ear. Enemy troops descending. Ground combat imminent. Tom gave orders. Activate the hidden traps in the tunnels. Use the narrow streets to our advantage. The city's defenses slowed the enemy advance. The Corn Empire's forces were caught in tight spaces, where Tom's tricks worked best. Hours passed in fierce fighting. The sky was filled with fire and smoke. Explosions shook the ground. Many Varel soldiers fell, but so did many enemies. Tom felt the weight of every life lost. This isn't just about power, he said to himself. It's about protecting these people. Rena's voice crackled in the calm again. We need backup. Enemy reinforcements coming from the south. Tom looked at the map. Divert energy to the southern cannons. I'll send a squad to help you. The helmet guided him to an old hangar. Inside, ancient ships were being repaired. Tom helped ready the pilots. You're our last hope. He told them. The final battle was close. Tom and Rena fought side by side. The helmet gave Tom strength and knowledge, but it was his human courage that made the difference. The enemy was pushed back. One by one, their ships fell. The city survived. When the last enemy ship fled, the people of Varel cheered. Tom looked at Rena. She smiled for the first time since he arrived. We did it, she said. Tom nodded. Together, as night fell, the city was quiet again. Tom and Rena stood on a balcony, looking at the stars. Tomorrow will be different, Tom said. Rena smiled softly. But tonight, we rest. The helmet lay on a table nearby, still glowing. Faintly, Tom reached out and touched it. This helmet brought me here. Rena stepped closer. And now, you are home. Title: I bought a helmet at a junk auction. Now I rule her planet, and she sleeps in my bed. Part 7. The helmet, the throne. In her 1,000 words, third-person style, clean and simple English. The stars above Varel shone bright and clear, as if celebrating the end of a long night of war. Tom stood on the balcony of the central tower, looking out over the city. The streets below were alive with people who had survived the battle. Their cheers echoed softly in the cool night air. Beside him stood Rena. Her eyes reflected the light of the stars. She looked tired but peaceful, for the first time since Tom arrived. She smiled without the weight of anger or doubt. The city is safe, Tom said quietly, for now. Rena nodded. You have done more than anyone expected. You brought hope back to Varel. Tom looked down at the helmet resting on the table behind them. It was quiet now, its soft glow like a heartbeat. The helmet had changed everything, his life, this planet, and the future of its people. I still don't fully understand how this all happened, Tom said. How a helmet from a junk auction could lead me here. Rena placed a hand on his arm. The helmet chose you, but it is your heart and courage that made you worthy. Tom smiled. Maybe I was lucky, or maybe humans are stronger than we think. Rena laughed softly. You may be right. The next morning, Tom entered the great hall where the leaders of Varel gathered. The room was filled with light and ancient symbols. The air was heavy with the past and the future at the same time. Rena stood by the throne, waiting. She wore the traditional robes of her family. Tom felt a mix of nervousness and responsibility. A crowd of nobles, warriors, and citizens filled the hall. All eyes turned to Tom as he stepped forward. Today, we begin a new chapter. Varel has survived because of courage, unity, and hope. He looked at Rena. I am honored to stand with you and your people. The room was silent for a moment. Then a voice spoke from the crowd. You are not like us, the elders said. How can a stranger rule Varel? Tom met the elder's gaze. I am not here to rule alone. I am here to serve. Murmurs spread through the hall. Some nodded in agreement. Others remained uncertain. Rena stepped forward. He is the helm bearer, the symbol of our strength and future. We follow him because he fought for us, not because of the helmet alone. Tom took a deep breath. Together, we will rebuild Varel, and we will face whatever comes next as one. Days passed. Tom and Rena worked side by side. They met with leaders, planned new defenses, and helped repair the city. The helmet continued to guide Tom, but now he trusted his own judgment more. One evening, Rena invited Tom to a quiet garden. The air was filled with the scent of flowers, and soft lights hung from the trees. They sat on a bench, watching the stars. I never thought I would trust a human, Rena said softly. But you proved me wrong. Tom looked at her. I never thought I would find a home here. But now, I do. There was a pause. Then Rena reached out and took Tom's hand. You saved my world, she said. And you changed mine. Tom smiled. Maybe this helmet was meant to find me after all. That night, as the city slept, Rena came to Tom's room. She stood at the door, quiet but certain. Tom looked up, surprised but happy to see her. I wanted to say thank you, she said, for everything. Tom reached for her hand. You don't need to thank me. We did this together. She smiled and stepped closer. The room was warm and filled with soft light from the moon outside. Rena sat beside him. I'm glad you stayed. Tom nodded. Me too. They looked out the window at the stars, knowing the future was uncertain, but that they would face it together. The helmet sat on the table, silent but always present. It was more than a piece of old technology. It was a symbol of trust, courage, and a new beginning. Tom knew his journey was just starting. There would be challenges ahead, new enemies, new allies, and new questions about what it truly meant to be a leader. But he was ready, because now, he was not just a scavenger. He was the helm bearer of Varel. He ruled a planet, and beside him, a woman he had come to care for slept peacefully. Together, they would build a future, one that no one could have imagined. Then would you like me to help with anything else?